Today we're going to count down the 32 most valuable and collected 1960s Silver Age comic books that do not have a single 9.8 or 9.6 grade. These are the rarest books, highest demand of all 1960s comics. Number one on our list of 32 comics. These are taken from the top 1,000 most graded comics of the 60s. And believe it or not, there's only 32 out of 1,000 that do not have a single comic graded higher than 9.4. We're going to count them all down today. Starting with Incredible Hulk, May 1962, first appearance of the Hulk and first appearance of Rick Jones and Betty Ross, one of the most important comic books ever made. 1,600 copies graded by CGC, but not a single copy over 9.4, and believe it or not, there is only one 9.4. Next, we have Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos #1 from May 1963. First appearance of Sergeant Fury, Corporal Dum Dum Duggan, the Howlers, and Captain Happy Sam Sawyer. Now, interesting about this book, I also want to mention, out of every book we're going to count down, this is the second newest major key comic that does not have a copy higher than 9.4. Though in this case, there are 9 copies, but again, just shows you. Now, based on that, you'll see that all the comics on this list are pretty well 1963 or older. After that, enough comics have been hoarded and saved by collectors. So we're going to be looking at early 60s major keys here. In next place is Tales to Astonish 27, January 62, first appearance of the Ant-Man. It's Henry Pym, not in costume, story written by Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko worked on this issue. There are only 2 9.4s. Brave and the Bold 34 is the most demanded DC comic of the 60s that does not have any copies higher than 9.4. There are 900 copies graded, but there are 6 9.4s at the top. This book is the first appearance and origin of the Silver Age Hawkman and Hawkgirl. This is a major key for early 60s DC. Next on our list, Showcase 30. It's the first Aquaman tryout issue and the origin of Aquaman. 800 copies graded, but 4 9.4s is the highest. Batman 139, April 1961. First appearance of the original Batgirl, Betty Kane, and Batwoman appears in this issue, as well as first Blue Bowman. 700 copies graded, but there are only 4 9.4s. Tales to Astonish 13, November 1960. First appearance of Groot. Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko cover. 600 copies graded, but there's only 1 9.4. Brave and the Bold 29, April 1960. Second appearance ever of the Justice League of America and Snapper Carr, and the first appearance of Zotar. 600 copies graded, but there's only 1 9.4. Followed by that is Brave and the Bold 30, June 1960, the third appearance of the Justice League of America, first appearance of Amazo the Android. 600 copies graded, but only 1 9.4. Showcase 37, March 1962, DC Comics, first appearance of the Metal Men and Dr. Will Magnus. Story by Robert Kanigher. 600 copies graded, but only 1 9.4. Unbelievable. Well, following that, we have Aquaman #11, September 1963. First appearance of Mira, and an appearance by Quisp with a Nick Cardy cover. 589 copies graded, but only 2 9.4. Possibly the rarest Marvel comic of the last 65 years in high grade is Strange Tales 89, October 61. First appearance of Fin Fang Foom, a Stan Lee story, Steve Ditko art. And 559 copies graded, but no 9.4s, no 9.2s. There are 4 9.0s. Justice League of America #3, February 1961, DC Comics. First appearance of Kanjar-Ro, Crom, Hyathis, and Sayar, and a full-page ad for Brave and the Bold 34. 500 copies graded. There are 3 9.4s. Showcase 24, January 1960, DC Comics, the third appearance of the Silver Age Green Lantern, Gil Kane. 400 copies graded. There is only one 9.4. Justice League of America, number 4, April 1961, DC. Green Arrow joins the Justice League. 400 copies graded, but only 3 9.4s. Green Lantern number 9, November 1961, DC. Second appearance of Sinestro, and it's the first Sinestro cover, first appearance of the Jordan Brothers. 400 copies graded, but there are 2 9.4s. Green Lantern number 5, March 1961, DC. First appearance of Hector Hammond. Full-page ad for Rip Hunter Time Master number 1. 370 copies graded. There are 2 9.4s. Next on our list, Adventure Comics 300 Anniversary Issue, September 1962, DC. Tales of the Legion of Superheroes series begins, and Mon-El joins the Legion. Jerry Siegel helped write this issue. 345 copies graded. There are 3 9.4s. Flash 112, April 1960, DC. Origin and first appearance of the Elongated Man, Ralph Dibny, and there's a Kid Flash backup story. 337 copies graded, only 1 9.4. One of the rarest Marvel comics of the 60s, Amazing Adventures number 1, June 1961. The company actually called Atlas Comics still at this time. First appearance and origin of Dr. Droom, who is Anthony Ludgate Druid, who later becomes Dr. Druid. 316 copies graded. There are no 9.4s, no 9.2s, but there are 6 9.0s. Strange Tales 97, June 1962, Marvel. The story predates Amazing Fantasy 15 with 2 characters created by Steve Ditko named Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Only 300 copies graded. There are no 9.4s. There are 2 9.2s. Archie's Madhouse, number 22, October 1962, Archie Publications. This is the most graded 60s comic that is not superhero related. It's the first appearance of Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Salem the Cat. Story by Dan DeCarlo. 290 copies graded. There are no 9.4s. There is 1 9.2. Green Lantern number 4, January 1961, DC. The secret of Green Lantern's mask is revealed. 290 copies graded. There are 5 9.4s. Betty and Me, number 16, is the newest comic on our list, the only late 60s comic to make our list, from Archie Publications. Classic cover with risque dialogue, highly collected. 286 copies graded. There are 2 9.4s. Strange Tales Annual number 1 from Marvel, featuring some reprint sci-fi and horror stories. 280 copies graded. There are 2 9.4s. Tales of Suspense 31, July 1962, Marvel. A Stan Lee story and Steve Ditko and Don Heck art. Also, Jack Kirby and Dick Ayers cover and art. 270 copies graded. There are no 9.4s. There is 1 9.2. Brave and the Bold 35, April 1961, DC. Second appearance of the Silver Age Hawkman and Hawkgirl, and the first appearance and origin of Mattermaster. 248 copies graded. There are 5 9.4s. Superman 146, July 1961, DC. Superman's life story. Crypto and Lori Lamaris appear in this issue. We've got Otto Binder and Jerry Siegel stories. 226 copies graded. There are 3 9.4s. This is the highest graded Superman comic of the 60s that does not have a grade higher than 9.4, even though the print run of this book would have been close to 1 million copies. Superboy 89, June 1961, DC Comics. First appearance and origin of Mon-El. It's the second Phantom Zone appearance, and Jerry Siegel helped to write part of this book. 223 copies graded, 4 9.4s. Journey into Mystery 62, November 1960, Marvel, but technically Atlas Comics at this time. It's the first appearance of a character called the Hulk. It's considered one of the prototype issues of what Stan Lee would use later on. Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko cover. Next on our list is the only gold key comic to rank high, but yet no super high grade copies. It's The Jetsons #1, January 1963, first comic book appearance of The Jetsons from the TV ABC cartoon series. And there's a back cover pinup, 219 copies graded, 9.4 copies. And the last of the 32 comics out of the top 1,000 most graded 60s comic at CGC, Amazing Adult Fantasy #7, December 1961, Marvel Comics. It's the first issue, even though it's #7. Formerly, it was titled Amazing Adventures. The book written by Stan Lee with Steve Ditko, cover and art. 215 copies graded, but only one 9.4. These books all do not have any copies greater than 9.4. These are the ultra tough books that perhaps don't even exist.